I'm live. Hey there, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I hope this video finds you all healthy, happy, safe, and doing well. I wanted to continue the conversation going about writing your story. So many different things have been going through my head, and I really need to pace myself with this, but I thought another great place to start is looking at the formatting of your story and how you want to write it. Now, when I say formatting, I don't mean like font size and margins and all of that, but I really mean about how you want the flow of your story to look, who are the major characters and the major players in your story. Are you going to use dialogue? How are you going to make the flow of the story come together? So, when it comes to memoirs, definitely it's going to be chronologically, right? We're going to start in a from one place to the next. As we think about the hero's journey that I talked about last time, we have this starting point, and then we go up this hill, and then we come back down, and then we finish it off, and so there's this natural progression of what is happening. But one of the things that I did when I wrote my book, Who the Hell Do You Think You Are, that you can find on Amazon or on my website at marjoriephoenix.com, I started at one specific point. And I started with the morning that I was arrested and removed from my home. Now that left a lot to the imagination, because everybody wants to know, well, how did it even get to that? Well, I talk more about that when I have an opportunity to go out and share my story, right? But I start at a very climatic event in my life. And that is something I want you to think about when you're starting this story. I believe that it is important, especially when you're writing a memoir, that you want to pull people in right away. You want them in your story. And I mentioned this the last time about investing them. But that first chapter, that first paragraph is going to be, it has to be strong. It has to be something where you are just painting this visual picture in their mind that they're now swooped in to your world. And so when you start that book off from the very beginning, there has to be something in there. Now, it does not have to start at the first day of whatever this hero's journey or event is going to be. That first chapter can actually start off with you in this present day, wondering how the hell you got where you are right now. I wrote a short story once about a character who woke up in the bed of a man that she would not have even thought about being with. And the story started off with her narrating and asking herself and self-reflecting, laying there naked in his bed, how the hell did I get here? What made me decide to be here and make these choices along the way? And then as you're brought into her world at this present time, then I go into the next chapter and take you into the story about how she got there. So you have a couple of ways that you can sort of pull people in, but whatever that is, make it interesting. Get them invested in that first chapter. The other thing is, are you going to use dialogue? Now, when we're talking about a story that has happened a while back, maybe in your childhood, you may not be able to remember dialogue, but dialogue brings some richness into the story. It really pulls people in. It's like they're a fly on the wall listening to what people are saying. So if there is some dialogue there, if there's some important conversations that were happening, that was happening, that you had, try your best to recall them and use them when you're writing your book, okay? We want the dialect too, okay? We want the vernacular. We want all of that stuff in there. Thank you. We want all that stuff in there because that brings us in to that moment with you. The other thing is your characters. Now, I know when we're writing memoirs and we're writing about things that have been highly sensitive, we might want to think about the privacy of all of the other people that were a part of this with you. And so you may not want to use names. So you need to really think about that and how you're going to bring these people into your story, how you're going to reference them and who they are as well. There were so many people that played a role in my story. I actually didn't use their names, right? I didn't use their names unless I really had their permission. I didn't use their names. But you don't have to bring all of them in, right? You can make reference to all of those people who were there at some time. So just think about that. Think about the privacy. Think about the backlash that can come from using people's names, and just be, very aware of that when you're talking about some of the other characters. Now, this is a big thing. When we're writing a memoir, we're writing in first person. We're telling our story. I, me, that's how you're going to write it. But for some of you that have reached out to me, you've told me that writing your story has been difficult. It's been challenging for you. You don't want to go back and revisit it. And so I've suggested to try to write the story from third person point of view. And third person point of view is just, outside of it, looking at her, she, they, them, that sort of thing. Writing it from there. Now, the risk with doing that is that when you need to really pull some of that honesty and that truth about the situation that I talked about in my first video, it's going to be missing there. Because again, you're standing on the outside. But if this is where you need to start from there. Start from that third person point of view and write it out as you're watching it play out in front of you. Okay, because we're just talking about the first draft here. So we just want you to get that first draft out of you as much as possible. Okay, I'm looking at using third person point of view for my next book, The Art of New Beginnings. And I'm really going to play around with writing it as a novel. And this is just something that I want to do just to sort of challenge myself and, express myself differently and creatively. But this is something that I think would be important for a lot of you that are struggling with sharing some of the things that's happened in your life. So again, think about, oh, thank you so much. I'm so glad. Thank you for watching. I appreciate that. So so think about that when you're mapping this out and you're getting ready to map all of this out. You want to write that out. If this is a chronological story, how you want to start off that first chapter. Are there going to be some dialogues in it? Who are those characters? And and really sit with that. And what voice do you want to use? Are you ready to write it in first person, or do you want to write it in third, just to sort of get it out on paper and just get the ball moving? And then if you want to, like I mentioned before, you and I could work together and fleshing that out and making it more intimate, a more intimate first person recount of your story. So that's what I have for you today. Another good starting point for you. And I'm looking at starting a boot camp for those of you that want to write your memoir. So if you're interested in that, please reach out to me on MarjoriePhoenix.com. And then thank you so much for watching my interview on Candid Conversations. I love those ladies, and I love the work that they're doing and giving people a platform to share their story and their voice. So it was awesome. But thank you for jumping on today as well. So if you have any questions, just reach out to me. And you guys stay safe, stay healthy, stay well, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.